Literary icon and Georgia native Flannery O'Connor is the subject of PBS American Masters. The program premieres Tuesday, March 23 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on GPB TV. GPB's News' Leah Fleming spoke with co-directors Elizabeth Coffman and Mark Bosco about the process of finding fascinating details about O'Connor's life. Leah Fleming: the premiere of Gone with the Wind in 1939 was a historic event for many Georgians, as their home state was depicted in what is still widely considered one of the greatest films in history. The film romanticized slavery and the Confederate South, though, and that's why some networks refuse to show it these days. But back in 1939, there was one Georgian that was light years ahead of her time. Flannery O'Connor was 14 years old at the time and couldn't stand the romanticized version of the South. So, she changed the game. As we celebrate Women Game Changers this month, PBS brings audiences a new documentary on the Savannah-born Flannery O'Connor. And there are some other women helping to tell her story. GPB TV will bring you the documentary next Tuesday night on PBS American Masters. The doc was created by filmmaker Elizabeth Kaufman and Mark Bosco, a Flannery O'Connor historian and professor at Georgetown University. I spoke to them recently. Leah Fleming: the big question for me is, how did the two of you come to even be involved in creating a documentary about Flannery O'Connor? Mark Bosco: I've always been interested in Flannery O'Connor's work as a professor, and I was actually given some tapes, some documentary video by a friend who knew lots of friends of Flannery O'Connor. I was hosting a conference on Flannery O'Connor actually in Chicago. And Elizabeth, as a colleague of mine, I said, listen, I'm having this conference, I have these other tapes. But would you just tape a few people who are going to be at this conference, because they're just really good scholars. Some of them knew Flannery. When she came in, I knew that we actually had something. Elizabeth Coffman: I grew up reading about the South and really tortured about the history of the South and the history of the Civil War and how writers were trying to address this. So, of course, I read Flannery O'Connor's work. I was really challenged by the idea that there is only one short interview of Flannery O'Connor and not many photographs. So we really had a creative challenge trying to come up with material since there wasn't much to draw from. Leah Fleming: so you decided to use people in the documentary like Alice Walker? Elizabeth Kaufman: absolutely. Alice Walker has written some wonderful essays about Flannery O'Connor and about thinking how she was inspired that a woman in the 1950s could become a national icon and could become a creative writer. But Alice Walker knew she was going to tell the other side of the story. Leah Fleming: yes. Let's talk about the other side of the story.